Hello, everyone. I hope you are all having a great day or evening whenever you're watching this. Today, we'll be talking about Japan and Africa, so make sure that you go to Google Classroom and get those fill in the blank notes pulled up. When you open that tab, you'll also find an exit ticket that you'll complete after watching this video. Make sure you turn that in because it will be included in the grade. And before we get started, I did want to make you aware of a couple announcements I made, including the information about what you will have due the 21st, which is a video and a questionnaire, these fill in the blank notes, and a vocabulary activity. And finally, the cumulative study guide, which you will be able to use on the unit test. It will be open notes. Make sure you complete all your work so you have plenty of resources to use while taking that test. And you can find that all under week 34 and 35 right here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started in our fill in the blank notes. Starting with Japan, does Japan on this map look flat or does it look mountainous? I hope in your head or out loud you said mountainous because it is a mountainous archipelago, which means 4 main islands. Sea of Japan, or the East Sea, is between Japan and the mainland of Asia. And Japan's proximity to China, which you will find here, made China very influential to Japan. And as you'll see, Sea of Japan / the East Sea is right there in the middle. So I'll give you all a second to get this down, but remember you can pause this at any time. We are going to get right through this video so it is not too long for everyone. So again, because Japan was so close to China, we see a lot of influences of China in Japanese culture, such as the writing, which you'll see off here to the right, the architecture, which is typical sort of Buddhist style architecture, and then Buddhism itself as a religion was a major influence of Chinese culture onto Japanese tradition and culture. And then we have the religion, the ethnic religion, unique only to Japanese culture. It emphasizes natural features, forces of nature, and that ancestors are important. The religion itself worships the emperor as a god. And this religion coexists with Buddhism. And remember, Buddhism has key beliefs such as the Eightfold Path, enlightenment, we all suffer, and nirvana. As we prepare for the SOLs, make sure you all are refreshing yourselves on stuff from the beginning of the year, like religions and like the Greek gods, the fall of Rome. Next, we'll be talking about Africa, so moving right along. Civilization developed in sub-Saharan West and East Africa, and we'll be talking about some of the kingdoms you would find there. Trade brought economic, cultural, and religious influences from the Eastern Hemisphere. And during the Middle Ages, the states and empires that flourished were Ghana, Mali, and Songhai in West Africa, Axum in East Africa, or also seen sometimes written as AKSUM, Axum, and Zimbabwe in Southeast Africa. And we'll talk about the different traits that are seen in each kingdom. So in Axum, you see here in Southeast Africa, it is now modern day Ethiopia, and it's located between the Red Sea and the Nile River. So remembering where Egypt is, and also remembering information about Egypt for the SOL. It is a Christian kingdom. So the king of Axum during 325 to 360 CE, King Ezana, he reached peak leadership and he was a devout Christian. So when the civilization saw that he brought a lot of prosperity, and they also became the major, Christianity became the major religion of the kingdom. But Axum was perfectly located to become a major center of trade, remembering that it's between the Red Sea and the Nile River. So merchants would travel from Central Africa, Persia, India, and Egypt, since remember the Nile River, bringing their goods to Axum to trade. And the major port city of Axum was Adulis. I always say it wrong, Adulis. So make sure you remember that, because that is also a vocab word. And because of Axum's location and role in international trading, the culture of Axum became a blend of all the cultures that traded there. They were influenced by the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and the Arabs. Next, we'll be talking about Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe is located between the Zambezi and Limpopo rivers next to the Indian Ocean. Their major trade city was Great Zimbabwe. And as you can see, being around oceans leads to a lot of trade. And the Great Zimbabwe served as a capital of the empire. The kingdom of Zimbabwe itself came into power around 1200 CE and ruled for over 200 years, which today we wouldn't think as a long time, but back then, making it that far was a proud achievement. And Great Zimbabwe was a large city where an estimated 18,000 people lived at the time during its peak. And some of the large stone walls still stand, which you see here in these two pictures. And going back to Axum real quick, thinking about the temples and it being a Christian kingdom, what do the very to the very far left, what does that look like? I hope you thought cross, because it definitely looks like a cross to me. But what's interesting is since it was so hot in Axum, they often built their temples underground. So thinking comparatively to the early Americas, which we learned last unit, who had these great tall pyramids and were really known for their pyramids and temples, this is a great contrast considering. But it kept it cooler to put them underground. So moving past Zimbabwe, we'll now talk about the West African kingdoms a little bit more, like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. Remembering that Axum is in Southeast Africa and Zimbabwe is in, or Axum is in East Africa, and Zimbabwe is in Southeast Africa. So going back to the picture of Axum being in East Africa here near Nile River and the Red Sea. And then we have Zimbabwe, which we'll see in Southeast Africa. So a little bit further down. So in West Africa, however, we have Ghana, Mali, and Songhai along the Niger River, south of the Sahara Desert. These kingdoms thrived on the gold and salt trade. Remembering we talked about trade routes, this was obviously connected to the trans-Saharan trade route, also known as the gold and salt trade route. And their major trade center and city was Timbuktu. It was also a city of learning. And they often believed in animism and Islam. So we'll talk a little bit about animism and the role of Islam. So animism was essentially believing in natural forces, spiritual forces existing in animals, objects, natural phenomena. Things were animated. All things were animated and alive and should be valued in a careful way. And Islam, as we learned in Unit 8, is the practice of Muslims. And this was brought to Mali by Mansa Musa, who was the ruler of Mali from 1312 to around 1337. And he was one of the richest individuals of the world. He actually brought tons of gold to Mali, and his work in expanding trade made Mali the wealthiest kingdom in Africa. His riches came from mining the salt and gold deposits in Mali, and also elephant ivory, which was a major source of wealth and was given to those high in society. And when Mansa Musa, who again practiced Islam, went on a pilgrimage to Mecca, because remembering what a pilgrimage and the Hajj is, going to Mecca and seeing the Kaaba, in 1324, his journey through Egypt caused a scene. He basically was a big deal. And the Kingdom of Mali was relatively unknown outside of West Africa until this event. And so he really brought Mali to the rest of the world and the rest of Africa. And while in Cairo, Musa met with the Sultan of Egypt, and his caravan spent and gave away so much gold that the value of gold overall decreased in Egypt for the next 12 years. So he basically went to Egypt and then bankrupted them. So I always think that's a pretty funny aspect of history. And then this is the Dejeuner Mosque in Mali. It is made out of all adobe. And again, thinking about mosques, what religion did we see the mosques in? I hope you said or thought Islam, because that is the Muslim house of worship, is a mosque. And since Mansa Musa was a devout Muslim, we obviously see the influences of Islam here in West Africa, particularly Mali, which Ghana came before, and then Mali replaced Ghana. So that is all for these notes. If you have any questions or concerns about the things coming up, or what you have due, or you missed the notes or anything, feel free to reach out to me. My email is kingb@ameliaschools.com. But until next time, it was always fun. As always, it was fun, and I hope you learned something. Bye.